Frankly Speaking is about a guy who pretty much can't say no to anyone. And one day he gets electrocuted, and all of a sudden he can't tell a lie. He just pretty much says whatever comes to mind. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another review on the Review Garden. So when I first started watching episode 1, I was like, where is this going? Like it's pretty slow. Like he pretty much seems like a is the right word pushover. Like if someone says, can he take over their shift? He does it. Like he can't say what he means. Like if he doesn't like it, he doesn't say that. So pretty much the first episode, you got to see the interaction between him and his coworkers. So his job is he's a news person, right? So during like the first few minutes, well, the first, I'll say 20 minutes of episode 1, it was his co-star. She was having an affair on her husband, and the husband showed up on set and started causing a fiasco, and like she ran, but the husband then started beating up on him, but it wasn't him that she was cheating with. She was cheating with some other actor or something, but he's in the entertainment world. So with all that happened, first of all, how is that his fault? And if you're live on air, the people who should have taken it off live are the people in the back. But they were so shocked at what happened. It took them a while to like turn everything off. But then he had to write, his boss was like, oh, he had to write the apology note. And I'm like, how was that even his fault? First of all, the co-star's husband beat him up on live TV, and it wasn't even his fault then. But you want him to write an apology note, and he's over here actually writing this apology note. But like he kind of said it to himself, like, why am I writing this, right? So then, um, he was supposed to audition for a higher position because he wanted to be on the main TV. So they were like, oh, because of what happened, they don't want him to audition for it anymore. So the his boss put him on a break, and then a break, but he's still coming into work every time the boss calls him. So then comes this girl. She's a head writer for this variety show. We'll just call her WJ. She comes to him and is asking him, you know, can you participate in the show? The reason um, she became intrigued with him is because when he was covering for someone else, he did such a good job covering for them that she was like, oh, well, I'm interested in getting him on the show. So she went to him asking him, and he was like, no, right? That he hurt his ankle. But before that, they met on the elevator. I mean, I don't really think that was relevant, but I mean, it was there anyway. That was really how they first met each other. And then when she heard his voice, she looked him up and saw that it was him. Um, yeah, so he told her no, but then his boss went and told them yes, right? So pretty much for that show, there is a, I don't know if he was an actor or if he's a singer, whatever he is, but he was important to the show. And he's rude and he's a jerk. So when he he's pretty much mean to everyone. So they're playing dodgeball, and um his name, we'll call him KB. He's really good at dodgeball. So he was pretty much hitting, the star with the balls, right? But to be fair, it wasn't really entirely his fault. He threw the ball, the other ones got out of the way, and he stayed there. And majority of the time, the star was in the middle, so he ended up getting hit by the ball. So the girl was not happy with that, so she went and to have a conversation with him. And I'm like, why do you need to go all the way over there to have this conversation? You could have just, pulled him aside and had the conversation. But she went all the way inside, and inside a room, but the room had a sign on it, but the sign fell and it said, keep out high voltage. So he, so they went inside that room, they were talking, and he, I don't know what happened, but for some reason he sneezed, and he like touched the um he touched the cables, and then he got electrocuted, like so much so that power went out in the whole section, in the whole area. And he got back up, but I'm like, y'all should have taken him to the hospital, and she was there when it happened. So if anyone, she should have been like, oh, I maybe your problem is because that happened. But no, as soon as they went outside, all of a sudden, well, he started acting like that with her too. She was like, "Are you okay? Are you okay?" He's like, "No, I'm not okay." So, so he kind of felt it, and then when he went outside, he pretty much, um, he pretty much yelled at the star, and almost like hit him, but the girl came and stopped him. So ever since then, nothing has been working for her, right? So the show got canceled, the because the star doesn't want to come back to the show. And then, but let's take a let's go a little bit back for him with the dynamic with his people, right? So episode 1, they're like, oh, he has rich parents, that's why he's this, that's why he's that, right? So I'm like, oh, okay. So then he goes home, and it's a really nice house. So I'm like, oh, like he's rich, right? So why is he even taking all this stuff from these people? Like, you could just go live off, you know, your money. And even his car is nice. So then when that whole thing happened to him with the star, he couldn't go home. Every time he was driving somewhere, the girls, the fans would stop him and like want to beat him up. So then they started showing this family in the episode, in the start of episode 2, and I'm like, who are these people? So then it ended up being his family, and his family, um they're not rich, and they're pretty much struggling, right? So I'm like, wait, but how is he rich and his family is struggling? They're not, if he made money, he should at least, try to help them, especially since, while he went home to his family, his mom was like, she needs to ask him for money, for like, living expenses. And his brother was like, oh, um, he has to ask the brother for the allowance and stuff like that. So I'm like, Okay. So pretty much since he can't lie, he gets in a fight with his, I'm guessing, older brother, and he runs out of the house. But in episode 2, you find out that the house that he's living in is not even his house, and the car is not even his car. So it's like this whole time he was living in a lie. So whatever people said, he just went along with it, because after the award ceremony, that, oh my gosh, that was pretty much hard to watch. I couldn't even look at the screen. I was like, okay, I'm not watching this, because it was just too much, right? So because like everybody was getting offended by what he was saying. I mean, there has to be a line between telling the truth and telling what you think, and then telling something that's going to hurt someone's feelings, right? So, yeah. So after the ceremony, I think he was dreaming or something, and, pretty much was showing you like what's going to happen when everybody finds out. And he was like, well, I'm not the one who lied. You guys pretty much formed my my life for me, because he didn't say anything to anyone. They pretty much just made up the story about him, and he just went along with it. So everyone at work is thinking that he's rich and he has a rich family, which is why some of the people treat him the way they have been. But, for them to find out that he's not rich, that's going to cause, some type of thing at work too. But now I think that the the whole telling the truth thing, it comes in and out, because there was a part in episode 2 right before the ceremony when he was okay. And then when the ceremony happened, the first round, he was fine. It was when the girl was like, oh, you look a little oily. Let me powder you up. And then she was like hitting him. And then she like hit his head. And then he sneezed. And that's when it started again. So I think it goes in and out. So it's like, can you really get electrocuted that much that it just like affects your brain? He went to the doctor that the girl recommended for him. He said he diagnosed him with something, but he's like, working in your job field is going to be hard because, you can't control it. And there were moments when he was trying to control it with his boss, when his boss was yelling at him, but he looked like he was about to explode. So I think I wouldn't say like it's an interesting concept, because, it's happened before, especially in the movie, Jim Carrey, Liar Liar. And a little bit, if you think about Yes Man, when he like pretty much does whatever he wants and says whatever he wants, and Liar Liar, when he can't, you know, being lying all this time, and then all of a sudden you can't lie anymore. It's going to be challenging. So right now there are some funny moments, so I am interested in seeing it. So this is going to be the review for which I already did episodes 1 and 2. So now let's get into episodes 3 and 4. Before I get started on 3 and 4, I do want to say what I already see in terms of um what's going on here. So KB and WJ, I'm assuming, are Endgame, right? But then the other one, what's his name? His name starts with a J, and I think maybe he's an actor. He used to date WJ, right? So, but she doesn't want anything to do with him. Especially in episode 2 when they meet again at the award ceremony, and then when he goes to see her at her house, she doesn't want anything to do with him. So I'm assuming that when they dated, something bad happened. He probably left her behind or something, because when they were dating, he was um I guess they were both interns, because the boss was calling him and asking him to bring, something. So, like, I think when he got his big break, he left her behind. So she's still pissed off by the situation. And then it was also weird because Jay went in the awards ceremony when WJ walked away from Jay to go to KB. Jay came over to KB like he knew him and was like, "Oh my gosh, how are you?" And then, KB just walked away from him. So there's something happening with them as well. But you're telling me that this is supposed to be a love triangle? How exactly is that going to happen? Because both of them don't want to be anywhere near him, near Jay. So this is going to be interesting. In episode 3, we kind of find out that um, WJ has a kid. So the little boy that at the end of episode 2 that was in the pool with KB, she, well, the boy is actually her son. And her mom is actually the the hairstylist for KB's mom. And their family pretty much lives in the same building. Her mom owns the building that his parents live in. And now that his friend came back, he had to move out of the apartment that he was in. So he moved back in with his parents. They made it look like he was renting a separate place in the building, but he's not. Where he's sleeping is pretty much his parents' house. They just put him in the storage room. So that's pretty much where he's living now. And the dynamic between him and his brothers are weird to me, because one of them doesn't work, doesn't do anything. He's the one who was like, "Oh, KB was supposed to give him an allowance." And then the other one owns a gym, but I guess he doesn't have a lot of people in the gym. But it's the way the younger one, I could see that. So I did want to make a clarification. So based on episode 3, it shows you that KB is the oldest one. So I'm guessing the one who owns the gym is son number 2, and the one who doesn't do anything is the baby. And you know, when they were growing up, the older two looked like they were close, but then, whatever it is that happened caused them not to be close anymore. The young one was like, he didn't want to be left alone with KB in the house. And I'm like, so you don't have a problem asking him for money, but now you're saying you don't want to be left alone with him because it's going to be awkward? That's just weird to me. And he's your brother. So, and then we also find out, yeah, so she has a son, right? So WJ has a son. So the question is JH her baby daddy? Because he said to her that he hasn't seen her, like they haven't seen each other in 8 years. So I don't know how old the little boy is, but he kind of looks like he could be 8. So did he leave her when he found out that she had a kid, that they had a kid? Or is it that he doesn't know that she had a kid? He saw the little boy when he went by her house in episode 2, but he didn't say anything about him, and neither in episode 3 or 4 did he, when he interacted with her, did he even mention the little boy. So I'm guessing that he probably doesn't even know that the little boy is hers. So that's going to be interesting. So I'm really, yeah, I really want to see what exactly happened between them and why she hates him so much. But um, we also find out in episode 3 he quit his job because he was trying to go for a different position that they were going to give to someone else anyway, but it was just the boss was like, why don't you just go try it? So, um, yeah. And the people were talking in his ear and they were like, oh, well, I don't care if he could hear. And then, with all that, he was just like, whatever, I quit. So now he's trying to figure out what it is to do. And WJ is in the process of starting a new show because of everything that happened with the other one. And then JH is the one who came to her and was like, he wants to be in her show. So eventually she had to let him because that's what it was leaning towards. So at the end of episode 4, she kind of wants KB to be part of the show that she's about to form. So far, I don't know what the other show is about, but from the previews of episode 5, it looked like it could be a dating show. So we'll see how both guys kind of interact with that. And speaking of both guys, so KB and JH, I said like they look like there was something going on with them. Well, they went to the same high school, and KB was pretty much the smart one in high school, and I'm guessing that JH was just popular and rich. So, but some things, I'm gonna say JH probably did something to KB because JH what told WJ that they were friends, and KB was like, we were not friends. So that means something happened there. And then what else? I'm really enjoying the fact that they have a black girl in here that can speak Korean. It's definitely a change to, you know, they're including diversity in the in the drama, and it wasn't like, it wasn't that weird like they almost that like they always do. Oh my god, you speak Korean? Da, da, da. This time or it was just like it's natural for her to be there, it's natural for her to experience this. So now we're going to see, how she pretty much how WJ helps him. Because in episode 4, we kind of saw how the switch happens, right? So every time he sneezes, he has a need to tell the truth. And then what ends up happening is every time she touches him, everything goes back to normal. So I think it has to do with when he got electrocuted. He sneezed, but right before he got electrocuted, and then after that, I think she was touching him, or she touched him at one point. So that's how they're connected to each other. Because, yeah, normally, like, they try to connect the male lead and the female lead, but this one makes sense because she was there when it happened. So, yeah. So it's so far it's an interesting, I mean, it's not a new concept, but yeah, it's an interesting concept. And it's 12 episodes. So I'm looking forward to seeing where this story goes. And then there's also the part about that other writer that they brought back. Like, she came back. I don't really know the story between the two of them. Apparently a long time ago, she wasn't good at all. But then she got an opportunity which caused her to be big. Now everybody wants to work with her instead of WJ. And even when she came back, they gave her more money than WJ, even though WJ is at a higher position. And then they keep talking about her behind her back as if she can't hear you. Like, when they went to go see that guy in that field, you're talking bad about her, and then you have the nerve to say, oh, don't sneak up. Like, if you're gonna come, make noise. Like, how about you just don't talk shit? How about that? And this wraps up our journey on The Review Garden. Thank you for joining me today as we explored this drama. If you enjoyed this reaction and review, please remember to subscribe for more insightful videos. Don't forget to like this video and share your thoughts in the comments below. Your feedback helps our channel grow. As always, I'm truly grateful for your support and for joining me on this journey on The Review Garden. Until next time, and happy listening. Bye.